Hello my beautiful viewers on my channel, James Higgins Up and World. Well, what I've got for you now, this is a 3-part series. It's called Flashback. It's about the 1970s, the 1980s and the 1990s. I was born in 68, so basically this episode is about the 1970s. And the episode is called Flashback, and it will say the 1970s. And then when it gets to episode 2, it'll say Flashback 1980. You read what I'm saying. Anyway, let's get to it. Well, what do I remember about the 1970s? Well, there's two major things I remember about the 1970s. Basically, was one, the classic, the ultimate, absolute ultimate, Saturday Night Fever, which I saw at my local cinema with my brother in 1977. I saw it. At first it came out as an X. An X was like an 18 is now. It was called an X. That was the 18, an X. But it was such a success, Saturday Night Fever, with John Travolta. The kids wanted to see it, so they cut out a load of the X-rated stuff, and then they brought out the version for the kids, and that's the version I saw. I didn't see the full on the X version until I was an adult, but yeah, so I saw that, and then it was a double-header year. 78 was the classic musical Grease, with yet again John Travolta as Danny Zuko in the starring role, and Olivia Newton-John as well. So classic 2 years there. 77, 78, two absolute classics came out. Yeah, saw them in the 6 week, 7 week holiday you had when you were kids. When we were kids. What else happened in the 70s? Well, 1 second, and I'll tell you. Here on Flashback, the 1970s. Right, here's some highlights from the 1970s. US President Richard Nixon orders an invasion of Cambodia, widening the war in Vietnam. There's one light. The US Senate repeals the Gulf of Tonkin resolution that had given Presidents Johnson and Nixon sweeping powers in the Vietnam War. The Beatles broke up. They broke up in 1970. Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser dies. I hope I pronounced that right. 1 second. Well, we also had the Apollo 13 incident in the 1970s. There we go. More information and timeline for Apollo 13 accident. The Apollo 13 mission launches as the third mission to the moon, carrying astronauts James Lovell, John Swaggart and Fred Hayes. The mission launched at 2:13 p.m. on April 11th, 1970. About 3 hours after the launch, the mission is set on its trajectory to the moon. There is a command module called Odyssey and a lunar module called Aquarius. On April 13th at about 10:07 p.m. the second oxygen tank explodes. This causes issues with other oxygen tanks. The crew contacts Capcom shortly after the incident with the famous line, "Houston, we have a problem." Well, they did have a major problem, but they got home safe and sound, thanks to all the people working to help them. And a fair few years ago, they made a film with Tom Hanks in about it. So that happened in the 70s as well. Just 1 second. Yeah, VHS recorders came out in the 70s. I think it was 76, according to here, September 9th, 1976. They came out. There was a bit of a battle went on with VHS and Betamax. Not sure the year Betamax came out, but the battle raged. I remember the first time I saw a VHS recorder was at junior school. At junior school, that's when the first time I saw a VHS recorder. The early ones, they had a cord. It wasn't like your remote control today, it was a cord. And then as they progressed, you know, it was just the cord went and it was just normal remote control. They were clunky things, massive big buttons. The thing came up, came down, about like that. Big bloody things, you know, about like that, big thick things. If you research it, you'll see they came out in the 70s as well. 1 second. On this episode, Flashback, 1970s. Well, the Osmonds were out in the 70s. They were a family, singers. Sung some classic songs. But the most famous two of the Osmonds when they broke up was Donny Osmond and Marie Osmond. And Donny and Marie, their brother and sister, they had a TV series as well. And so they were out in the 70s. That was the height of their 70s, really, the Osmonds. So, yeah, do a bit of research on that one. They were out in the 70s. UK, the late 70s, the UK had the Winter of Discontent. When, I mean, I remember in the 70s that your lights would go off, your power would go off, you know, in the 70s. Used to be quite regular that. You used to have to have candles, keep spare candles and stuff, yeah. You know, I mean, in the 70s, there was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was none of that whatsoever, you know. You're lucky if you had a phone in your house, if you could afford one, you know. A different world, absolute different world. It really was. It certainly was a different world, Paul, I'm telling you. Yeah. Remember when did the first game system come out? Was that the 70s? I'm just going to check that for you now, here on Flashback, episode 1. Right, here we go. The Magnavox Odyssey was the world's first home video game console. Atari Pong was released in June 1972 and is the first commercially successful video game, and is based on a simple two-dimensional graphical representation of a tennis-like game. And I think my brother, Bobby, has actually still got that console. It must be worth a lot of money at the moment. I'm pretty sure he's still got that. Yeah, that came out in the 70s. 1 second and we'll carry on Flashback, episode 1. What else happened? In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became leader of the Conservative Party. Became Prime Minister. She became Prime Minister. Sorry. She became Prime Minister of the UK in 1979. So, yep. To 1990. The UK's first woman Prime Minister. She was a divisive character, really, in my humble opinion. The way I look at it, my own personal opinion, she was a good Prime Minister for the south of England, but for the north of England, it was a wasteland, to be honest. But that's the 80s, that won't go on about that in episode 2. But anyway, yeah, she became Prime Minister in 1979, Margaret Thatcher. She's passed away now. Passed away a few years ago. Don't know the exact date, but if you want to research it, you can and read up about her. What else happened in the 1970s? Let's have a look. 1 second. Also, in the 1970s, we had one of the greatest bands ever formed, the Electric Light Orchestra, also known as ELO, the Jeff Lynne Band. they formed, and they were a big part of my upbringing, really. I loved ELO, still do. So they were formed in the 70s. A lot of great things in the 70s, really. A lot of great things, to be honest with you. Different world, yeah. 1 second, and we'll carry on with Flashback, 1970s. Well, we also, in New York City blackout. The New York City blackout lasts for 25 hours and results in looting and disorder. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's another thing there. That's 1977 that happened. Unbelievable, isn't it? You know, it was, I don't repeat myself, but it was a different world. Yeah. Just 1 second. Here on Flashback, 1970s. The king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, died in the 1970s. I'll read you a little bit what he says here. The king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, is found dead of an apparent heart attack at the age of 42, only 42. Presley died suddenly at his mansion, Graceland, in Memphis, Tennessee. Fans around the world mourned his loss. Presley began his career as a teenager in the early 1950s, and he was soon catapulted into the international stardom with his first single, Heartbreak Hotel, in 1956. Known for his distinctive voice and controversial dance moves, Elvis also starred in several musical films, ranking as one of the highest selling solo artists in history. Fame took its toll on the singer. He struggled with drug abuse, health issues, and the divorce from his longtime partner Priscilla in the final years of his life. Well, Elvis, I mean, you know, where I lived, there's a woman, she loves Elvis. She rides around the thing in a little thingy like that. She can't walk very well. Yeah, she's always playing Elvis, constantly. She's a local character, a legend, really. Really nice person, you know. All Elvis things, always playing Elvis. One of life's characters. Big thumbs up to that lady, what I say. Anyway, there you go. This is it's a brief history, very brief, of the 1970s here on episode 1 of Flashback, the 1970s. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little mini series of three episodes. So the next episode will be out in a week's time, and then a week after that. So it's this one will be going live today, hopefully today, if I can do the processing and get it done. Well, thank you very much for watching on my channel, James Higgins Open World, and thanks for watching episode 1 of Flashback, the 1970s. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.